Five, six, seven, eight. Hey, hey. Welcome back to High Consciousness Podcast. We got your host here, Poppy Lynn, and your co-host T.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
I'm stealing that.
Yo, that's good. We're excited to reconnect with you guys and continue the conversation around thinking differently. Before we get into our recap, I want to say thank you to the ones who listened in, took action and continued the conversation off air, and provided positive feedback, but also took a chance and invested your time to listen in. So thank you. But also thank yourselves. We value perspective. We value you. We value us. We value time. We value our time. We value your time. If you took time to listen to this information, perspective, real life shit, whatever you want to call it, that means you've given back to yourself in a positive way. And if you've made that call to action, which is continuing to dive deeper, then you just fed yourself 10 times more. The point, again, of this podcast is to reach the ones who want to unlearn and relearn, to expose the other side of the truth, to have those tough conversations, that dialogue that you don't hear daily as maybe you should, or just more than you should. Um, we're going to touch base on the side everyone is so intimidated and scared to talk about, but yet again, at the same time, everyone knows about. And if you don't fuck with it, that's cool. Keep it moving. It may not be for you, but we know that there's people out there that want to listen into this. So again, thank you to those people. And thank you to the listeners and the ones that really want us to continue to do this type of work. We spoke about perception and provided perspective and information around that through our first episode. We spoke on Plato's allegory of the cave and what allegory means. We share personal experiences and experiences of those who are more influential than us, but we also shared our own. But if you really took that time to listen and listen into the bigger picture and the see the bigger picture and bigger message, we went from past, present to future, and how it's all connected. How our choices create our tomorrows, and how the choices of others that have been here before us created today, but also the future, and how we can continue to create a better future because we also have choices. And now we're exposed to a lot more things. So today we're going to continue the dialogue, but it's more around the tools used through history, present, and future to control the mind. Tying it back into how the media controls our perception, dive deeper into how the media is used to manipulate the human mind and humankind. We're going to touch base on our own personal experience of how it has impacted us as individuals and through our journeys, the type of behaviors we've seen done, take accountability for, and how we wake up every day to fight those obstacles purposely placed in front of us. And again, you're gonna hear me say this a lot, but it's a spiritual and mental war we go through literally each day. And you'll realize how much I'm going to keep saying that. T's going to keep saying that. People that are probably going to jump on this podcast are going to keep saying that. So I want you to start getting used to it. It's designed that way, and it's all designed by physical forms, I like to call it. Mind control is more than what it sounds like. Controlling the mind can be something very challenging, especially now in the times we are living in, as I stated, because there's a million things that distract us. It's designed for us to be distracted. So then we can steer away from what's really happening, the bigger picture, the picture that they paint, that they try to paint for us, um, the ideology side of things. So, yeah, welcome. And let's also welcome your co host, T, and have him share his perspectives and own personal experiences and thoughts. So, yeah, T, let the people know what's up. You're.
All right, all right. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And again, thank you all for tuning in. So let's get this started, right?
Let's get it started. Let's get it started. And here.
I got a question, and
Mm,
this is for the audience, but also for you, Lynn.
word.
What do you think of when you hear mind control? On a,
It's
on
a
a,
really
on a
good
general
question.
basis, on a general basis. It
I
could
think
be,
about
go ahead.
sorry. No, go
No,
ahead, finish off.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
I think about in a general, even in a general like basis, I just think about controlling everything that I do every day. Like controlling my mind, that organ. Yeah, like I just that's what mainly comes to mind. And also the word discipline. Discipline. Discipline comes to mind. But then at the same time I go with controlling distractions. Like anytime I think about mind control, I automatically go to, yeah, controlling my mind from distractions that are going to distract me from what I'm trying to do. And that could be anything. Like that could be cleaning or you know, so
Hmm.
that's what I think. What about you?
I definitely lean towards more of the, you can call it sci-fi type of scenarios. Like
Okay.
someone has the power to force another person or being
Mm.
to do something, like an
Mhm.
action or even how they perceive things. I also agree with what you said, obviously. Like you have to, back to episode one about making your own choices.
Yeah.
You have to make up your mind, right?
Right, exactly.
Because if you don't, somebody else will.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. On a general consensus. Now, I like to break everything down, every single word down, right? There is a word out there that I learned later in my young adult life, and that word would be etymology. Okay. So there's this website for etymology, kind of like where Merriam-Webster dictionary.com,
Mm.
but it's not just definitions. Let's actually bring it up right now. Get right into it. That is not what we're talking about here.
Cut.
Don't worry. It's not going to be cut. It's going to be right there. But Edamon Online, right? Same thing. The gist of it is, prime example.
You don't have it up though.
I I don't. I do.
No,
Wait a
that's
minute.
that's episode
That-
2.
That's you.
Oh, you clicked on mine. So I was like, what?
Nah. I'm
There
gonna
you
fight
go.
you. I'm
There
gonna
you
fight
go.
you.
Alright, there you go.
All right. If you put in etymology, not only does it give you some form of definition for these words, it breaks down the root of these words in different cultures, different languages, the first use of this word, probably recorded in history, um, and the relations in different languages. Okay. Long story short, etymology, let's see, from the late 14th century, which is around 1300, let's say 1350 to 1400. Okay. In Latin to Greek, basically means facts of the origin or the development of a word. Take this entire thing and let's go back to mind control. All right. Let's type in mind. Really simple. The mind. It's a noun, that which feels, wills, and thinks. The intellect. Okay. Everything comes from the foundation of something. Just like language, you have a prefix, a suffix, you have the end of verbs, the end of nouns, etc. Words have meaning, Things exist for a reason. Definitions exist for a reason. Okay, none of this. I get it. My truth, your truth. Stop it. It exists for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you break down prefixes, or excuse me, suffixes, right, such as like mental, let's go to men. The root word, which comes from Indo European origins, it means to think. So certain words exist because the pronunciation or the way that it's spelled, the way that it's sound, it's for a reason. Okay, it produces power. Now, regardless if you believe it or not, doesn't matter because it exists.
It exists.
The
It's yeah.
there you go. It's just the fact of the matter. So you can take that same thought of believing it or not believing it to any type of conspiracy theory at this point. Anything that goes against the status quo, anything that goes against the narrative, you can always take that back to. Oh, lost my thought.
Damn, you're doing so good. You can always take that back to information given or perception.
Of course, yes, perception. Thank you very much. Perception, right? So let's go with meant, right? Or men, to think. Hence, another thing, which would be mankind. Okay, we're not talking about mankind right now. We're talking about mind control. Control. Control is a verb. It's used to regulate. Another word would be to dominate, direct, exercise control over something. Or, my favorite, to keep under authority and regulation, just like to govern something. Okay? Govern. Again, to rule with authority, to govern, to steer, to be at the helm. These are called synonyms, and they mean similar things. Now, let's put them together. What's government? The act of governing or ruling, system by which a thing is governed. Okay? On a deeper level, the government is here to basically says control you.
Control you. Yeah. Control a thing.
Basically, control a
Control a
thing,
thing. Yeah.
to suppress you. Okay? To keep you down, to steer you, to pilot you, to direct you in whatever direction that it wants to do. Okay? So, if you take out the word govern or control and you keep meant, shit, oh, apologize my language. I just get so excited. We can go to mental. Okay? Mental pertains to the mind, the characteristics or intellect of the mind. Even down here, a word that shouldn't be offensive is offensive today. Mental retardation. I don't even think I could say that on YouTube, but that's somehow offensive. It's not an offensive thing to talk about or to even suggest because retardation basically is the let's let's just look it up out of our own knowledge and
For
just take
our
the
own
feelings,
wisdom.
our own wisdom. Let's just look it up. Retard. It's a verb to make slow or slower, to keep back, hinder, delay. Okay. A mental retardation is to keep your mind delayed. It's slow. It's hindered. It's not supposed to be offensive, but over time, words, I wouldn't say adapt new meanings because of culture and
Hmm.
how
They get
society
they
might
get
perceive
lost in
things.
translation.
Exactly, like a
Yeah.
long game of telephone.
Hmm.
Okay. And I like to think of our human existence as a ever non-stop game of telephone.
I actually like that because I can see it.
Right? And like we said earlier, if you are not in control of your own mind, then
Then who is? Dun, dun,
who is? Right?
dun.
Where are you getting your knowledge from? Where are
Hmm.
you getting your perception from? How do you know that the metal death box that you drive every day to your employment, how do you know that's a car? Who told you that? All this stuff, we take everything. I don't say we, I apologize. The way society is going, everything is so simple. I believe we talked about this earlier, our first episode. Everything is so simple. Click of a button, immediate. Um, Microwave society. Like, if I'm not getting this now, I'm just gonna give up and do something else. Right? That all plays into your mind control.
Also, following suit. Following suit goes into that because then again, it goes into you're only listening in to what's being told by these influentials, but you can't even take a second to pause and know that again, government to
Hmm.
rule with authority. You're listening to authority, and it's also like as we stated in the first episode, a lot of things come from us coming into this world and being taught those things. Um, which again
Right.
goes back to unlearning, relearning, and that's what we bring. That's what T's literally bringing. Like you're bringing this to life. Like the fact that words mean things, and it's deeper than just let's sit in the surface where it's my truth is my truth. No, we're covering things up. We need to really talk about what's really going on, and there's a perfect way, to share information because, as stated, breaking it down, it makes more sense. It ties in together. You get to see how it all ties in together, how it all plays in together. But
Hmm. Hmm. Because if
you
you're not
know,
looking at it and you're just being shown stuff,
right,
how
following suit.
following suit? All right, that's cool. Like, okay. Oh, now we're just getting everything's gonna be Bluetooth. We're going with 5G. Nobody cares what 5G is. Okay,
Okay.
okay, cool. Faster internet. All right, that's cool. Oh, self-driving cars now, running off of lithium batteries. You just touch water, it explodes. All right, that seems safe. Like, I everything in life has meaning, but the way that I think things are going, we're just shown stuff so quickly, and it just gets overlooked.
Yeah,
Right?
because they don't, and not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but it's like
That's all
they
good.
don't focus on the side effects, let's say. It's like when they give you a pill. Yes, this is gonna make you feel better.
Mm,
But then you take that and they don't tell you about the side effects.
mm. You
So
know, I
it
have. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you know what I mean? Go ahead, no,
No,
go
no, no,
ahead.
no. I understand. I was actually gonna say, personal note. Remember when we were back in our old spot, and
Yeah.
our neighbor, after her accident, she got prescribed Xanax.
I
Now,
remember this, yeah.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Let me simply type in Xanax side effects. Can you see that?
Yeah, zoom in a little bit more.
I got you.
Right.
You see that? Now, there's a bunch of different side effects over here for Xanax, which is another thing that's popping in culture, right? Hip hop culture,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Just popping them like they're
Just
candy.
popping them. Now we got some of these that I definitely don't know off the top of my head, but the one thing that our neighbor definitely had was insomnia. I'm talking about what she was fine, and then the accident, and then months, months later, just up 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I'm hearing TV going, music going. I'm like, yo, does people we don't sleep anymore? Like, you're like almost I don't know how old she is, 60, 65, 70. Like, what are you doing not getting your sleep?
Yeah. Or why can't you go to sleep?
Why can't you go to sleep? The other side effects of Xanax include if people who were watching weight gain, weight loss, anxiety, memory impairment, cognitive dysfunction, constipation, fatigue, drowsiness, blurred vision, diarrhea, decreased
Increased
sex drive,
appetite
all
and
that
decreased
increased
appetite.
and decrease.
Mm-mm. That's
You know what I'm
fucking with your
saying?
body heavy, bro.
In all
That's
different
fucking with your body
forms,
heavy.
all different forms. There's a there's countless side effects, countless.
And this is just one. Let me
This
make
is
that
just
clear. This
one
is just one pill. So,
inability to sit still, bro.
bro, that's insane. Dark
Need to
urine.
need to keep moving.
Sucks.
Isn't that the same thing? Loss of voice. What pill am I gonna
Restlessness.
take that
That's
gives me
gonna
this?
loss us. Yo. Ooh.
And that's
Mind control, mood, or mental changes.
can't make this shit up.
It can come in any form, baby. Any
Can't make
form.
this shit up. Right. But the premise of that is take your time, know what you're putting into your body, and not just what you're digesting as food. It comes in other forms, like what you read, what you hear, what you say, all affects the reality around you, within you. And this is more than just us talking out of our butts. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I say butts to be family friendly, even though we ruined it in the beginning.
Yeah, we
But
definitely did.
you know what we're talking about. Like
Yeah.
when you get that mindset of, okay, prime example would be waking up and not touching my phone. Because god damn it, I want to pick up my phone. I want to scroll. I want to see if there's anything I missed, any news, social media, whatever it is. But that shouldn't be a first thought. It's just the way
Mm-hmm.
that people are living right now, right? We should wake up. We should drink water to get our body going because we run off of water, right? Fast for a couple hours. Let our organs do its thing. You feel me? Digestion do its thing. Maybe get your morning poop. You know what I'm saying? Be healthy.
Facts.
And there's so many benefits about just waking up and drinking water or intermittent fasting. Like you can look this up. It
Seriously.
clears it
Yeah.
clears your mind fog if you feel like you have that, or like just look at the studies. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's part of it because if you know better, you would do better, right? The minute that you seek to do better, all of a sudden it's like information you
Left and
can't
right. Left and
left and
right.
right, left and right,
Mm-hmm.
left and right. And instead of running away from it, not taking the challenge, just look at it. Who knows? It could probably save your life.
Yeah.
You can make a very informed decision if you have information on what you're looking at, or it can be like the rest of people and just be led to the slaughterhouse, because that's never changed in human population. That has never changed in the history.
Because
But
we have choices, free will. What are you going to choose? And that's why I say it takes your own will to get up and make that change. It takes your own will to get up and say, maybe this is not all I know. Maybe there's more. It takes sometimes even being in the worst situations. Some people have to lose a leg. Some people have to get told you have cancer. Some people have to be told, hey, like, you have this disease. You know what I'm saying? Things that are gonna push you to do those things. But once you see that side, stay there. And you'll see why you would want to stay there. Because again, it's positive. It's good for you. Makes you feel good. It's not just words being told. No, we are in a human experience. So within that, there's emotions. There's other things we also have to remember. We have to what's the word? We have to pay attention to, let's say,
mm,
because it's not it's not just things listening, again, it's about what you feel like. So even when you're told these things from a clear standpoint, a clear mind standpoint, that's when you can actually focus. And again, it's all connected, and it all starts with what you're feeding yourself, whether that's what you're listening to, what you're eating, what you're watching, who you're
mm,
listening to, who you are
mm-hmm,
around, what energy are you consuming, getting to know those things and what those things mean, being able to have control of your own emotions. And again, it goes back to mind control and what we're talking about here, how it's an intellect and they got us under a little spell. So how do we break? How do we break?
I definitely agree. I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. The the other thing that you can add on to that, you said pay attention, and I'm just gonna use an example that I learned, and it goes back to mind control. It's I believe it's a verb. I don't. You know what? Let's do the thing. Let's do the thing. It's a noun. Forgive me. Concentration.
Mm,
Voluntarily continuous focusing of mental activity. Long story short, it's getting your willpower under control and just collecting all that energy for whatever task you put in front of you. You need to concentrate to read. You need to concentrate, well, on some level when you're working out, correct? You can't just do this thing and expect that I'm gonna get the results. Let me just half-ass this workout. I know I should probably be running a little bit harder, be running a little bit faster. I could move a little bit quicker. I could reach a little bit further. But I think I'll just do it haphazardly, right? Another example I could use, and this is back in my entrepreneurial days. There's something that stuck with me during one meeting I had, and I had a peer, let's call him, use an example, and to gain control of the room, he just presented one one concept. He asked a question, and he wanted everybody to raise their hand. Doesn't matter what the question is, just raise your hand. Majority of people just rose their hand halfway, half. He said, okay, why not throw your hand all the way to the top and reach as far as you can, right? Why is it that majority of people just want to do this? Halfway up, when you know you can go all the way up. That's a different approach that you can take with anything. Look at other people around you, see the life that they have, life that they live. If that's something that you want, you can take the same steps or be mentored to take the same steps to achieve the same results. Same can be said in the opposite. Look at someone, see their lifestyle. If this is someone that's older than you, 15, 20 years, 25 years, whatever it is, and you see their life, ask them what did they do to get there. Ask them how their life has been. You can learn that way, right? By just absorbing things. And this goes back to what you digest. You can learn how you want to move and how you want to live your life based on other people. Like we're not the only ones who've been here. We didn't pave these roads. We didn't build all these buildings. We didn't pave these highways. We might repair them. We might build newer ones. But from the beginning, that wasn't us. When you start to take a grasp of or the importance of you being here in general, just you being here, I think that opens a door to, I don't want to say relevancy, but that opens the door to being more considerate of where you are, appreciating more your current position in life. There's too many things that are attacking us, bombarding us in our minds, telling us we're not good enough, telling us that we need to buy more things to be happy, telling us that we either need to consume more to be happy, what we have isn't enough, or inadequate, or whatever, right? That is all part of mind control. If you don't have a, a basis, if you don't have your own willpower, if you don't know what you want to do, where you want to go, you're not the only one. There are people out here who've gone through it as well. They can show you. But but if if you're not willing, someone else will lead you, and you might not be aware of it. But believe it or not, when you recognize what's going on, you no longer will be a part of the the herd of people being led to.
An experience, experiment, not
You feel
experience,
me?
an
Like,
experiment, because I feel as though we're a social experiment, and I don't say that we're number one, are God's social experience. Number two, we also are the government's social experience, and there's a lot of paths that we can take here, because just as much as all of this is true, there's again a balance in life. There's, you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. Again, there's paths to take. There's ways that have been paved already. At this point, we're not back in BC talking about, oh, what could be in the future. Like, no, there's a lot out here that shows, hey, y'all in now, 90s, 70s, 80s babies, 2000s, and you'll keep coming in. What path are you willing to choose? And how are you going to control your free will? And I like how you said that, because it is that controlling your free will, but in a positive way, in a way that you're going to gain from, that your soul's going to gain from. It first takes you acknowledging you have a soul. I'm going to drop a little gem. Seed of the Soul is a good book for that. But it
mm-hmm.
starts off with that, and it's, again, you can either lead yourself or be led. And once we get placed here, again, at some point we have that choice of, okay, I'm not under the authority of my parents anymore. I'm under my own. So what? Now I'm in the real world. Like, remember they call it the real world when we're in high school and all this stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
the real world. Yeah, what's the real world? And even back then, I always knew it was more to just getting a job, going to school, getting good grades, getting the career of your dreams, making it, and all that stuff. No, it's just not that easy. And when you look at the people who are successful, who talk about feeling good, who talk about I have control of my thoughts and I am not depressed and I do better every day. I work out, I do this, I do that, I made it this far, I do this, is because again they took charge of their own free will and controlled their mind, try to control their thoughts. And they sweat through the ride too. Like, it's a journey, you sweat through it. But again, it there's so many paths that have been paved here that it's which way you want to go. And the good is going to be the good, the bad is going to be the bad, so they both get acknowledged. What you want.
Absolutely correct. I'm so glad that you brought up seat of the soul and having a soul,
Mhm.
um, because we weren't, well, I wasn't consciously aware I was going to be put here in 1993. Um, I wasn't. I don't think anybody really is aware of, oh, I'm a soul, and do we, where do we come from? Like, ultimately, where do we come from? Um, that's a different type of conversation, because that's going to lean into the start of conception and people's beliefs, and there's
Yeah.
scientific proof behind, why it's called a spark of life, and you can make all these type of different connections for religious purposes. um, God saying let there be light, and all that other things. If you don't even believe in a religious aspect, I know personally, before I even wanted to seek that or understand that, I have a driving force, you know, because break it down. I believe I said this to you, or I said this to Diamond the other day. Like, we are not our thoughts, we are our actions, right?
Yeah.
We are not our thoughts, we are our actions. So that again comes back to choices. We're not mind readers, right? So you don't know what type of invasive thoughts people are having, what type of psychopathic thoughts people could be having, or what type of just natural, happy thoughts people are having. Flowing thoughts. They just want to chill. You can tell when people aren't bothered by words. You can tell when people don't let their emotions get the best of them, and they on some level understand that if you were to give power to a word coming from someone else, you are you are submitting to them.
Hmm.
You are basically telling them that, me as a person, I'm too weak to control how I feel, because frequency just hit my ears and I couldn't stop it. Like, when you break it down to such a simplistic thing, people look ridiculous. I don't care if you want to use racial slurs or anything like that, because it's not going to affect me, even if you're in front of me in my person. I'm literally going to laugh in your face. I'm going to smile. I'm going to laugh in your face. I like to cause confusion. Like I'm not affected by road rage. I'm not affected by any of that stuff because I understand on a deeper level consequences. I understand that this probably wouldn't be the best choice to participate in something that can cause future damage or whatever.
Cause and effect, man.
Cause and effect. Just when you carry that with you, again, it it shows, it reflects, right? So let me just show you this. We're talking about language, we're talking about, you know, writing and spelling stuff. We know that words are powerful. Yeah, speech is powerful. And I personally don't have to read out of the Quran, right? To absorb any of the messages that's being said, whether it's about modesty or anything of that sort. It's because I understand. Now I don't speak Arabic, same way I don't speak Hebrew, right?
Right.
But because these words were translated through multiple languages, right? Latin, Greek, English, in that order, right? The words, when they're being said, may not produce the same power as the original intent of the word, but it's that part. It's having the intent. Okay. Let's apply that to music. The type of music that we listen to affects us in a level that if you're subconscious, you're probably programmed in ways that you're not even aware of. Whether it's, I mean, this is so simple. We can open TikTok, we can see a bunch of kids dancing to the same songs that we really shouldn't be listening to. You know what I'm saying? Like up in the club, twerking ass, shooting the ops, all that. Like it's
Talking
not a
about
very,
lean,
you feel me? Lean, Xannies, popping, all this.
bitches, hoes, money, dirty money, clean money, whatever that means.
Whatever that means. That's programming. That's programming. TV programs is programming. Films, cinemas, DVDs, CDs, cassettes, tape recorders, programming, all the internet, social media, all of it. Magazines, books, newspapers, blimps, billboards, advertisements, programming. There are so many layers to even why businesses like McDonald's use the colors red and yellow in their brand, on their packaging. It's because they've done studies and they've shown that those exact colors stimulate stimulate hunger and desire to eat that trash food. That's programming. They're attacking us and you don't even know it. And like I said, just because you don't know it doesn't mean it's not happening.
It's not happening, and that's that part, man. Like hearing it over and over again, it hurts to hear because it almost makes any human while listening to this feel like why, right? Like like why do we have to be an experiment?
Yep.
And it's deeper than that. Like this all started really with New World Order. This started when they knew that they couldn't control us in one way, so they were going to attempt to control us in a different way that we can't see. It's a weapon.
Hmm.
It's a weapon built, and this all goes through the CIA intelligence program, MK Ultra, all these operations they had, all these different techniques and things that scientists digged into, as such as color, the things that they put in our food, like yellow
Hmm.
5,
Hmm.
what is the other one, gelatin, red 3,
Red
red 5, or
40,
yeah, red 40, sorry, red
all that.
40. All of these things that we don't question, and it starts with questioning. Oh, I feel sick in my stomach, I ate this. Oh, it's whatever. But you don't even try to think, like, to yourself in that moment, maybe, what did I eat, what did it have, well, who made this, what was the ingredient, you know what I'm saying? So it's just really like, just the fact that through us talking and sharing this, again, it hurts because it's been happening. We've
Hmm.
been a product, such
Hmm.
as how me and you T, we were having this conversation the other day. Like, if, and you simply stated, if it's free, you're the product.
You're the product.
You are the product. Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all
You're
these apps,
you're the product.
you're the product. What I'm starting to notice is these dating apps want you to really pay, but you're still the product. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just still goes back to, and I'm laughing because it's funny to me. I use laughter to avoid, not to avoid pain, but to cover up the pain, because you gotta laugh at this shit, bro. Like, but honestly, is being aware of this too, and wanting to know more, wanting to be more aware of it, because again, we are a whole entire social experiment and experience. So, been going on.
Yeah, been going on. Um, to to add on what you said, to compound to what we just said about language and intention, don't take my word for it. How about we take the word of a doctor, 1999, this Japanese scientist, Dr. Masuri Emoto, right? Did an experiment for 20 years before he died in 2014 of human speech, language, and intention on polluted water and changing the shape of molecules by simply through words and observing it over time and crystallizing the effects of 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 the water basically. So he has a whole book, but I love that people nowadays will just put everything on the internet. Everything's free. I'm trying to tell y'all, like
You don't need to do much.
you don't, you really don't,
Don't need to do much.
you
Everything will
really don't.
come.
If you're looking for it,
Mm-hmm.
you
It will
will.
come.
It will come. Right. That's side note because I like to go on side notes. Right. If you're willing to receive, it will come. If you're not willing to take something in, how how can you be affected? It's that simple. And that's with anything. Like so if you're willing if you're willing to be talked down to, if you're willing to be perceived negatively, you're going to feel the consequences of that, correct? So this is why even the most degenerate person, and I say that with I am not going to say respect because I don't respect
Loving
degenerate people,
kindness.
with
With
loving
loving
kindness,
kindness.
walk around with so much, I don't know if it's confidence or narcissism or whatever. It's the same thing, right? They're not affected by maybe how we perceive them. If we want
Mm-hmm.
to shame them, they don't care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
they're that confident in the choice they made
and the
to be
choices
that,
that they make.
to be
Correct.
that, to show
C-
that. Yeah.
correct. It doesn't mean that it's good though,
Right.
but
Exactly.
we can observe it and we can see,
Hmm.
right? Anyway, back to it. Loving Japanese scientist, right? He had pure water, multiple different stuff. He had pure water and he had polluted water, but he would write it on a piece of paper, whether it's a meditation, a prayer, or a word, right? He froze the water and then used a specialized microscope to observe the crystalline structures. Let me see if I can get this really good for y'all. Hopefully, it's not too blurry. Okay.
Oh, I like this.
So he would say things like love and gratitude, and it would produce this shape. Honesty will produce this shape. These are all crystals. You can say even snowflakes, right? Or crystallines. That's why it looks like this. Happiness, love of husband and wife, right? Hope. Look at the shapes. But the minute you start saying stuff that has a negative intention, it causes chaos in water and disruption. Like if you say I can't do it, and how many times a day, let's say, you're hmm, you, let's say how many times you are confronted with a challenge, either at work, in your relationship, or whatever it may be. You're confronted with it and you start saying, I can't do it. I can't do that. I'm never going to be able to do that. You are casting, I'm not going to, technically, it's a spell. You're casting a spell on yourself and putting yourself down. That's why it's called putting yourself down.
Mm.
If you were to say something like, I can do it, look at that structure. It's organized, it's not chaotic, right? We, as humans, are made up of mostly water. There's like water and 90 plus other essential molecules and minerals, correct? What's not to say, and this is also proven in other research, that, like, for instance, placebo research, placebo effect. The placebo effect exists because of intention. If a person believes that they will be healed, the body does the job. This is proven time and time and again, whether it's through this experiment, whether it's through giving the placebo effect to patients, through cancer radiation, XYZ. I'm telling you, you can look this up. I don't have to be a doctor to share this information. I don't think it has to come from a doctor to even be like, oh, this is credible. It's just the matter of fact.
Yeah, no, we don't need doctors or other people to tell us this. At this point in our lives, at this point in modern times, we have way too much in our plate, in our hands, that is exposable to us to be able to search this information. Everything is out there. We're not like,
That's
the
what I'm
first
saying.
people to like say this. I've had
That's what,
conversations, you've had conversations with friends, I've had conversations with friends, like it's out there.
it's out there. And this is 1999, bro. This is before Homeland Security. This is before 9/11. Like,
Mhm.
so again, just because we might not know it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Let's
Yes.
use another example. When, if you're religious or not, or maybe you've seen it, you would gather around for Thanksgiving or whatever holiday or even dinner every night, could be an example, and you say a prayer over your food. Why? What? Why? It's the intention.
Yeah.
You're blessing your food, right?
Right.
You want it to provide health and nourishment. You don't want to get sick, correct?
Everything's connected. Again,
Everything.
it goes back to how you spoke about music, frequencies, what we eat, what we digest, the operations that were out here for us, planned in place for us. Everything is connected, down to how you talk to yourself, the energy, the thoughts. Intention is one of the biggest ones ever, because everything starts with intention. If I'm going to get to know someone, and I'm using this as an example, and I already have the intention that I want to take them to bed, I want to
Woo!
fuck, everything that comes, like it will come out of my pores and show, no matter
Mhm,
what I do, even if
mhm,
I try to hide it. At the end of the day, the intention is sitting there. So that's what is gonna project out. And I want to touch real quick on bad self-talk, because you mentioned that.
mhm,
Um how there's bad self-talk and good self-talk. And that also streams from the agreements we've made since kids. The agreements that we've made in general through our process in life. I say that because me reading the Four Agreements, that was one of the books I touched base on during when I started to explore to think positive and think better and go through the law of attraction and all those things and attract good things. Um, but the Four Agreements has a statement in there that says, if your mom told you that you were ugly, sorry, if your mom told you you can't sing, and it was a little girl, she couldn't, she could sing, but her mom was so annoyed and going through her own life and her own struggles that she projected onto the kid, like, you can't sing, like, why are you singing, you stop that. The kid never sung again. The kid unconsciously made that agreement with themselves that they cannot sing. So that's all they operate from, knowing that they cannot do it. And then that in itself brings that frequency, that energy. Kid's always going to be down. Anytime they try something new, I'm already with the mindset of I can't. And I went through that myself as well, because I remember starting at my job, I did not know how to receive, in general, I did not know how to receive feedback um in a constructive way, constructive criticism.
mhm,
And it was hard for me. And I say that because I also went through the agreement of, when I was younger, I was told that I was inadequate for certain things, or I just wasn't as good as the person next to me. Um or I just was, so it was growing up with that, and knowing that I couldn't say anything about it, and then it followed me into my adult life. So bad self-talk and good self-talk are are real. And I went through life coach, which helped me release bad self-talk, because like, nobody ever tells you calling yourself stupid is not good. We don't acknowledge those things in society. We let people sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm so dumb," or "Oh, I can't do it," or just use those negative words. And everything has a frequency.
it's my ADHD.
Yeah, it's right. Utilizing it as a crutch to not be able to do, when we should be empowering ourselves with free will, with not free will, sorry. Free will stuck in my head. We should be empowering ourselves to to be able to do it, to be able to say yes, I can, to turn it all around. And it's also because, again, so focused on the negative. So as stated, bad self-talk, good self-talk, you make that agreement with yourself, and it's about seeking more and the knowledge to know how to unlearn those agreements and create new agreements with yourself. We all start with mental health. We just spoke about what mental means. We go to therapy. We have tools in place now to do those things. But that's why exercising the mind, exercising to not talk bad to yourself, exercising those new agreements, looking at that information and applying it is what's going to help you feel better and find peace, and already a world, a place, an experience that is designed for us to fail. So, but yeah, T.
Hmm. I mean, that's it. You're right. It's a system in place, designed
Mm-hmm.
and designed for you to fail. Now, over here in the US, there's a couple safety nets that prohibit true failure, if that makes sense. Like, okay, look, we don't have to work. You can just go on unemployment for a little while if you just had a job. You don't really need to be homeless. You can get on some government programs to give you housing. It might not be the best, but it'll be that. Then you got to pay them back.
That part.
At any moment, because I know most people are living paycheck to paycheck. There's so much stress in our human experience. And I understand why people could, lose it one day. Just lose it. It's too much stress. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. You don't know what just happened last night. You don't know if they're going through something, some type of heartbreak, lost a loved one,
Facts.
some, no, it's a, yeah, it's later now. Some fuckery happened with their bank accounts.
Mm.
The level of stress that goes on to a person when money gets affected, even though money is something imaginary that we all just agree upon, the level of stress that puts onto a person, that's not natural.
Shitty.
It definitely is shitty. But we're not talking about that this episode. It's
Right,
about
right,
mind control.
right.
Staying positive. Like it's nice to be aware of all the negative shit that's around you.
Mm-hmm.
It can be overwhelming once you start to see it. And it's true. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it, yeah.
You cannot unsee it.
And it can also become some sort of habit that you indulge in. Like, I've
Mm.
seen people just want to keep going to you get addicted in a sense. If you, and what I mean by that is more of you just keep on wanting to take more of the bad. Like you get so caught up in the bad. Like I've seen it. You get so caught up in the bad that you good doesn't help at times because you're so sunk into that.
Does bad feel good sometimes?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be an asshole, you know? And sometimes that feels good.
This
It
is a
is what
fact.
it is. It
It
is
is
what it
what
is.
it.
You know?
You gotta find the balance. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Although you should still explore that. Is just, it's just it is what it is.
Yo, all right. Look here. Let me get back to it. Lovely audience.
Good self talk.
Good self talk. That's right. It's not all about the negative thoughts, right? So back to Dr. Emoto. Right? Positive thoughts or feelings such as joy, I love you, and thank you produces beautiful crystalline structures, while words like evil and you disgust me produce warped, garbled specimens that did not even form crystals, right? I'm sure even just hearing those words made you feel some type of way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's that powerful.
right? Look at this. Just saying thank you makes water in this crystal shape, similar to hope, similar to wisdom, similar to eternal. These are all similar shapes when they're nice, positive thoughts, right? Angel, peace, and then we got evil. Looks like a
Like a hole, like a dark hole.
looks like a black hole,
Yeah, that.
right? I wouldn't be surprised. That's the picture that they use to trick people. Yeah,
Yo, that ass because hand in hand.
hand in hand,
Twins.
twins, and that's the crazy part. Like, I'm sure what I just said won't register
And no.
to majority of people for the simple fact of perspective. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying anything crazy. It's just a simple fact of perspective. You know, art imitates life. I don't know what else to tell people. Um,
seriously.
simple thing is like polluted water before having the prayer, than after the prayer.
That's beautiful.
It, what, where is it? Where is it?
Music.
Well, yeah, the music part, of course. But yeah, we said this already. Tested the water before and after being exposed to things like gratitude,
Yeah.
prayer, or love.
Love.
Prayer really cleans, like it really does clean energy. And this is the part where I'll say people need to be careful with their energy the minute they become aware of it,
Yeah.
because prime example would be me, right? You've met me, let's say, well, I don't know, three years now. Sorry, 3 years now.
No, definitely more.
More now.
Like I think five, 4 or 5.
Look,
I want to
time
say
is fleeting.
five. Five,
Five.
5. Yeah.
What do you think about this? The concept of change, or do you scratch that? Do you put a specific time on when a person could change?
No. But I say no, but everything's behavior. So then again, it goes back to just as dealing with anybody. There has to be a boundary when, you know, you decide, okay, I don't see that, you know, like I don't see that change. I don't see that behavior changing. So you do have to then again set boundaries. But I don't put a time frame on that as long as it's a work in progress. Best to put. But the work has to be in progress.
Now,
Why you
I don't
ask
see.
that though?
I was gonna say I don't see anything wrong with that, and the reason I ask that is because there wasn't a time frame on how long it took for
Mm,
negative water to become positive water.
got it. Okay.
But us as humans, you hit it right on the head. It's when you decide to.
Yeah.
When you decide to allow your energy to be more positive than negative. You as a person, you need to choose. Take control, right? Take control of your own life. your own mental. If you feel like you're down or you really don't like your job, think about it. Are you doing what you love? Are you happy just even being around your coworkers? Are you do, are you happy? And I don't mean like, oh, I this is my favorite thing to do. I'm so glad to do this. No. Generally you wake up, I know people don't really like to go to work, but do you find any gratitude in being like, okay, this is a good position for me, the one that I'm in right now? I need to find some type of positivity in here, or else I will always complain. I will always complain about something. I'm not getting paid enough. My boss is a dick and or bitch. Excuse me. Ah, but
Ah,
we we
sorry.
no, it is it is what it is, right? If you disdain being somewhere, your energy is going to be affected, right? This goes back to episode one. Your environment affects you. So does being under mind control. If you're not aware of what you're saying, who you're hanging out with, what you're talking about, what you're listening to, you're being attacked and you don't know it and you're losing. This isn't a fight that you want to lose,
Mm,
right? You can compound all these things that we're talking about into other aspects of your life. That's the whole point of information. That's the whole point of this experiment. This isn't just because, oh, we are so beautiful, or just us as natural creatures, we're so beautiful, really made in God's image. Look at us. We can affect water. Yes. And look, we get music. Music affects water. It's not just us, which means sound, frequency, vibrations affect water. It's such a simple concept, right? Now, look at this really quickly. Listening to certain songs like heavy metal or I'm not going to say a Korean folk song, but that's what it is, a Korean folk song, classical music, different genres, right? Produces different structures. I don't even know what this is. Farewell Song by Chopin. It sounds deadly. I'm going to have to experiment later because it looks deadly. And this Tibetan sutra looks like a disease.
it does. I just laugh because the way you looked at it, but it does. It really does.
But that's the point. Like, I don't know if I
Like
want
a
to listen to that.
bacteria,
I don't know if I want
right?
to listen to those. But Symphony Number 40 by Mozart, back to back. I'm playing it back to back. Yesterday by the Beatles, nah, I let it
Im-
slide.
Imagine by John Lennon.
Pastoral
Imagine
by
all the people.
Beethoven, and Imagine by John Lennon. That's what I'm saying. Beautiful structures. Probably listen to those songs right now. Get a chill down your spine. You don't even know why.
It just the frequency. Yeah, the
That's why.
frequency. All right, the frequency. All
The
right, and
frequency.
I just want to say real quick, before before you continue with this, real quick, um,
No, for the most part, we're done. We know we're made mostly of water and positive thinking. Like, Look, even back then, they already knew. I think, therefore I am. Like, you are what you think. No, sorry, your
Um,
actions is about how other people perceive you, right? But in general, again, sorry, in general, you become what you think. Not all your the thoughts when they're out of control, that's your life. If you learn how to control, right, get mental health, get therapy, understand your triggers, all that stuff, learn to organize that stuff, not get so overwhelmed, yada yada. You learn to reel in these negative and positive thoughts. You start to become more centered, right? And then it reflects. It really reflects. Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. You don't even got to use that, to be honest.
I'm gonna use
But
it.
I know you will.
I'll cut some off, but like I'm gonna use it because it's good. Um, what I was planning on say, well, what I was gonna say is mainly learn how to control the inner you. I like to put it because there's a lot of external things we already can't control. We cannot stop this, but we can stop the bad self-talk. We can stop the negative thinking constantly, the overthinking, the imposter syndrome. We can talk to our water more in a positive way. There's things that we can do to control the inner you, emotional intelligence, learning what emotions are, how to learning your triggers as you stated. But I say that because the bigger picture here is we're focusing more on helping each other control the inner us, but also understanding that the world is the world. I want to say the world, but mainly the to govern. Right? Let's go back to that word. Already are onto us,
Hmm.
and already these things have been put in place. Just as you showed frequency between good music with good frequency, good intentions, and music with bad intentions. They're also utilizing all these things to manipulate us. So it really comes down to, do you want to be manipulated? Or want to break out of that? Even acknowledge that there is that, which is going to go a little bit more into conspiracy theories right now. But, bro, as I stated in a sneak peek I put up the other day, don't be a bastard, bro. Don't be ignorant, dog. Not right now, please. Not right now. And it already, the more you wait, the longer it's gonna be, the worse it's gonna be. The more you're gonna be
Hmm.
under their control.
Hmm.
And it's only getting better for them.
Hmm.
So the bigger picture here is to state that yes, we're under, but that don't mean we can't prevail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You remember that book, the Tavistock Institute of Human Relation?
Yes.
So I'm on Amazon, right? And for those who don't know what that book is, um, back when I first showed Lynn uh, the hard copy of the book on Amazon, it was when I could find it, right? It was what, $5,000?
Around there.
I
No, it
can
was,
only
yeah, it was
find it used
for
for
two ninety
paperback,
nine.
still $300, right? But it's It's not just $300.
Mm-mm.
520, 1,000, 1,500. Again, for people who
I love
don't
her
know,
showing this. Yeah.
who here listening right now is willing to spend $1,500 USD in 2023 on a book? Hmm?
That's how they
A,
get you.
a 300-page book. What's in this book? Let's go just really, really quickly, and then we'll make that shift to the next article, right? I'm not going to get too deep into it, but even the first couple pages should be enough.
The title in itself is a lot.
The title in itself is a lot. Shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, and political and economical decline of the United States. You might think, "Oh, this is bullshit," but it's from the author of the Committee of the 300. It's just one of those things where we could talk about CEOs, we could talk about the head of Fortune 500 companies, or in these boardrooms, or
The big
we
corporations.
have all this information, right? And we can look up who's who. So nothing's
Yeah.
hidden, right?
Nothing.
But because we're not here providing evidence or proof for a lot of the stuff on hand when we're talking to our friends or our peers, like, most people are not going to believe you. They're not going to believe you. At least they didn't believe me. But
Or
it's
me.
not, or you. In general, you can cut that part out and hit the mic. In general, the Matrix is real.
Ah,
It very much exists.
got him.
And when you take the red pill and you see it, you can't unsee the bullshit. And if you were to even consider what you see in modern times it is as bullshit publicly, you're not you're not gonna work wherever you work anymore. Someone's gonna try to cancel you, cancel your livelihood. How dare you?
I'm gonna
It's
get away
just
from you.
it's
That
just
I
part of
can.
the mind control, because
Hmm.
now you're you're putting parameters on language or how your thoughts come in. Those are your thoughts. How how dare you let the government or some random entity tell you you can't think this way? Don't let these people shape you, because I'm telling you, when
That's
you
their
see
goal.
it, led to the slaughterhouse. You need to save yourself. Who's spending $1,500 on a book?
Or even 299. Not gonna hold
Who's
you.
like $2.99 is the least you can get on
Especially
a.
right now.
Who's spending $1 per page on a book?
Right, because the book is like 295 pages.
Right.
Small book. And look how
Fantastic
much
information.
it
Fantastic
is.
information. This is not a sponsored thing. This
Yeah,
is not a
yeah, yeah,
plug.
yeah, yeah.
All right. FYI, it's not a plug. I'm not even tell you do nothing that you know. If you know the internet, and Again, not another plug. You get a VPN. Hey, but hey,
Do what you got to do.
do what you got to do to get your information, dog.
Hmm.
We grew up around when LimeWire existed. You got to do what you got to do, man.
Yo, facts.
You got anything else you'd like to add on before we make this shift? The last topic.
No, but I just want to say that book is a really good book, and as you stated, art imitates life. Look at the movies, The Matrix. Even right now, there's an article in pretty sure, I don't want to use the words controversy because it's not, but it's more of showing you the truth behind the movie The Matrix, and how now it's even just coming out even more, and what the author was really trying to imitate in that movie. But art imitates life, and even books are art, a form of art. So
The very first form. The very first form that it's kind of being. If you take a side note, if you take a look at the marriage rates right now, especially the marriage rates over here in the West, it has no correlation, right? However, yes, correlations. There's several stats that are prevalent but seem to be ignored by general population that should be alarming, which would be, well, in my opinion, would be marriage rates, alarming, the literacy rates, alarming, um, the and shit, I'll take myself accountable as well. Even stuff down to entertainment, the amount spent on entertainment or consuming entertainment, it's kind of alarming.
same.
Um, reason being, there there's a basic way for humans to communicate, and there seems to be a rise of people that necessarily can't communicate or don't even want to better themselves in that aspect because maybe they perceive themselves as to be good or they're being reinforced by their environment, right? So everything that possibly we're saying might sound crazy to them, but there is no different in what we're saying than what someone was saying 400 years ago,
Hmm.
500 years ago. The only thing that changed is the form of media that we consume
Yeah, and how we consume it.
and how we consume it. Correct. There's another quote that stuck with me, and then we can move on. If well, actually, I think I said it last episode, but this is more on a widespread view. Everything that's in motion is in a book. Everything that you see happening right now happened before at some level. There's nothing new under the sun. One of my favorite Old Testament quotes because it's true. It's very much true. And when you start to look into history, cultures, technology, you realize that nothing's really a new invention. They're all just innovations. But that leads us into the territory of conspiracies. And boy, and girls and lady boys. This this is some real shit. All right, look, we got a lot of them out here. Anytime I said it goes against the narrative, it's just that. It's a narrative. We, as a collective, or whoever words this resonates with, understand this. The people before us, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, didn't consume this form of media in the same capacity. Okay? The internet wasn't as powerful as it is. Okay? With that being said, there's certain things, there's certain things that we can do now that we couldn't do before, such as pause, play, rewind, fast forward. Hard for me to even fathom I have to say things like this, but recognize that it's a human behind these cameras, especially if it's anything on a black and white screen. My God, it is a human behind these cameras, and they are painting a narrative for you to see as the product. You are the consumer. Okay? Okay. Here, we found a little article. Even fact checked. Wow, imagine that. I don't really care about fact checkers, but some people might. We have 10 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Wow. Me personally, I love to be a conspiracy theorist because
Same.
the whole point is just you're telling me some information that is foreign to me. Okay,
Or
let me,
or hidden.
or hidden, right? Occult knowledge. This isn't an old term. Occult knowledge. Like, look it up. Basically, you're telling me information that's foreign to me. And instead of me getting defensive or putting up a wall, maybe I should hear you out and decide for myself. Make up my mind that way instead of, no, the narrative I already know is the right one. Yeah, it makes sense. Everybody else agrees with me. Yeah, yeah. That's how all y'all get fucked. Excuse my French. That is how everyone gets it. Don't be that one. Even though it's already 30% of us out here.
Yeah.
So
Percentage is high, but just try.
just try, because
Please. At least now.
at least now you're gonna be happy in the long run. Anyway,
Be at peace in the long run.
be at peace. Don't let people discourage your perspective if you find it interesting
Mm-hmm.
that the people in charge have been lying to you this whole time. Don't let them discourage you. That's the same mm, elementary school tactic of trying to bully you into submission, trying to
Right.
make you feel weird for thinking that way, or call you names, right? All the names in the book, call you less than this, that. Come on, come on, man. But let's go real quick. Here's a couple. Project Sunshine. I don't know too much about Project Sunshine, but let's go about it. Despite its cheery name, Project Sunshine was by far one of the darkest conspiracies ever conceived, the most horrifying to be proven real. The project was commissioned by the U.S. Atomic Energy Committee and the U.S. Air Force. Designed to investigate the effects of nuclear radiation on humans and the environment, Project Sunshine saw the U.S. government harvest and use, often without the permission of its parents, the body parts of dead children and babies. Younger children typically have higher amounts of strontium in their bones, meaning that their tissues are more susceptible to radiation damage. Thus, they make better test subjects for the project. Okay. I'm glad I can let y'all pause the video or take your time to let that sink in, but this isn't the first time hearing that humans are used as test subjects
For
or,
radiation.
or for radiation or anything being disclosed on that level. Um, like I said, there was there was a placebo effect. A doctor actually cured. Sorry, it wasn't a placebo effect. I saw this on Rumble, and it was a documentary about a doctor in Florida making his own uh, cancer curing medication, right? Because he discovered that everybody who has cancer was just missing a gene in their DNA, or sorry, missing a specific amount of minerals. It was a very specific amount of a certain mineral, and he only gave them this one pill over time, and they were cured. And he used patients who were like stage 3, stage 4, deep in chemo. They weren't gonna make it out type situation, or um couldn't afford insurance, and he used those type of people, right, who really needed it. And they've been trying to shut him up. They've been trying to shut this man's business or operation down because big pharma needs to make money.
Mhm. Gotta
And if you're
stay.
sick, they make money. Like, common sense people. Why would I trust someone whose sole job is based on my health? I love y'all. I'm not gonna be dying to pay for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just like I'm not going to brush my teeth with fluoride toothpaste because you recommend it. No, nope. There's levels to this shit.
Not over here, my boy.
Not over here. Next, MK Ultra. Now, I first heard about this
Mm.
in the deep hoods, Patterson, New Jersey, Newark. And I'm saying, how? Written on the telephone poles, graffiti on the walls and shit, on the bridges. I'm seeing this as a young kid, right? But they're calling people conspiracy theories for even saying or looking this up. Bro, make it make sense. But it's one of the better known conspiracies out there. In general, the US government was testing psychedelics and hallucinogenic drugs on unsuspecting American citizens and military personnel in order to investigate the viability of behavior modification programs. Essentially, mind control on its own people, and left many of its participants with trauma and even brain damage. Right? There's plenty of cases out there of these subjects acting violently, dangerously, and the fact that the US government was so willing to endanger the lives of its own citizens without their consent. Again, this isn't going to be the first time or the last time you're going to hear something along the lines of the government did this to us. We didn't know about it. We trusted you and you said it was safe and effective. We didn't know about it. You said I was coming in here for treatment. You gave me syphilis. Like,
Yeah,
it's go ahead.
that's like right. Just to mention real quick, prior to us recording, I was watching a CIA secret brainwash experiment from a former patient that went in there, trusted one of their doctors for mental health. Right, it goes back to what we were talking about today. Uh, but when they went in there, they got tested with psychedelics, and eventually their side effect was they couldn't do brain damage. They couldn't do really anything by themselves. Their husband had to help them. It made them worse. But again, as you just stated, going in there with that trust of, hey, I trust you, but not even knowing what's going on behind closed doors, what's given to you. What are you to them? It's all a
Hmm.
lab rat.
All a lab rat, live lab rats. But will you be the rat that stops going in to the death box because you thought there was food, or will you be like the rest of us and just go head first? Oh look, where are you going? I'm gonna go to. Oh look, there's food in here, bro. I'm coming. Oh, and the people who don't know what experiment I'm talking about, look it up. It's on YouTube. They have a whole experiment where they have food in a box. The entrance to this box, see-through box, is at the top. And they have a whole bunch of mice into the box. They allow them to go into the box, and eventually they remove the passageway for them to get in, right? So they can no longer get in or out. Over time, they don't show you on the YouTube video, but over time, the rats, because they have no food, will begin to eat each other. But the reason that some of the rats stop going into the box is because they didn't they override their need for food like the rest. I, they realized you couldn't get out, and once one rat saw that you couldn't get out once you got in, the ones behind them were like, ah, that looks like a bad deal. I don't know. You should treat this information as, look, once you see if it's a bad deal or not, because again, this could save your life.
Facts.
Literally can save your life. Let's see.
Alcohol poisoning.
Alcohol poisoning during the prohibition, which is quite recently, actually. U.S. government tainted industrial alcohol with methanol. It's commonly used as antifreeze in an attempt to curb the drinking of it. So basically, they just wanted to stop people from drinking alcohol so bad. They poisoned it themselves. Like alcohol isn't already poison. But of course, they said it wasn't enough to be lethal and was intended to be more of a deterrent than a punishment, which we know is cap.
That's madcap.
It's cap. Said 10,000 deaths were reported during this period. And back then, 10,000 people were, it's quite a bit of people. Like,
I love how it says, so perhaps the wait, go back up. So perhaps the intention was darker than we think. But then it says wasn't enough to be lethal and was intended more as a deterrent than a punishment. Well, bro, we know it's darker than that. It's a punishment. It's a fucking punishment.
you know,
You're not
you
obliged
know,
obliging like
you know exactly what they're trying to say. Don't let this nice fluff at the end distract you.
bad
It very much was supposed to be lethal,
facts.
just like the coof very much is supposed to be lethal.
Oh, this one is
Yes, the U.S. government spying on us.
damn
This
2013. That's real close.
2013. This is let's see. If you weren't paying attention, this is when Edward Snowden was all over the news. He was on the run, right, for releasing thousands of CIA documents to different journalists, which pretty much detailed that the US was in conjunction with several other Western countries, and they were spying on us. They were spying on the civilian population. And matter of fact, it wasn't even about us. It was the whole world, right? Through social network companies. In 2016, US government agencies sent approximately 50,000 requests for user data to Facebook, roughly 28,000 to Google, and about 9,000 to Apple, right? But The National Security Agency, forgive me, water, forgive me. The National Security Agency conducted multiple espionage operations on the U.S. allied governments, such as Germany, Belgium, France, and Spain. Yeah, pretty much they've always been in connection with each other. You think about the World Economic Forum or United Nations. Come on, it's in the name. It's in
Hmm.
the name. Like this is not just this is a Western conspiracy. It's a global.
But the Tavistock talks about that though. Like it
Yeah.
talks about them being intact with Germany, with the other one, Berlin. Those allies, they all are part of the operation. That's what it is.
Yep. Yes, they are. Look, another one. Another false flag. And people who don't understand what a false flag is, basically, it's a military operation, right? Let's call it that. To insert themselves into a conflict. That's the best way I could put it. So this is the Gulf of Tonkin was 1964 in the midst of Vietnam War. Long story short, I don't need to explain it. The NSA disclosed that the U.S. was intentionally faking the incident to increase support for the U.S. war in Vietnam and justify further military action, which I just said is to insert themselves into conflict, right? Pearl Harbor, World War II. That's another conspiracy, I guess, that people can talk about. But the facts are there. Pearl Harbor, they knew the bomb was going to happen on that day in Hawaii. They knew. And what did they do? Same thing as 9/11. They knew when that was going to happen. Otherwise, the insurance wouldn't have been taken out on, forgive me, the insurance would have been taken the day before. Make it make sense. They knew, right? Okay. Repeating things, man. This is not new stuff. It's just stuff that we are not taught and you have to seek to understand. They use patterns and trends, and when you see those patterns and trends, you can learn how to move. Feel me? It's like riding a bike. This is easy.
Just real quick, the
Go ahead.
fact that because with me, I'm very much into the music aspect of things too, how this all affects music. But it's funny how you say patterns and what was the other word? Sorry, you said patterns and
Trends.
trends. Because even within the music industry, and that's a whole other episode, but we talk about the Illuminati, these cults, all these things going on. You start to wonder how a motherfucker can benefit of the same thing over and over and over again. That's like I
Hmm.
stated, that's a whole other episode, a whole other conversation. It gets deep and dark on that end. But I say that because right now I'm putting two and two together, and it's the same thing. It's acted upon differently, but it still creates the same outcome. And again, they benefit off all of this. They all benefit of all of this, and it's because same patterns and trends, and it's the same people that continue to benefit off all of this. Now we haven't said much names. That will continue down the line because we're just starting this information off, but there's a lot of layers, and it's an onion. We're peeling a lot of layers back. But yeah, I say that because I wanted to share that real quick because they go hand in hand. Again, those trends and behaviors continue to bring the same outcome. That's not good.
I agree. It's not good, but we gotta learn how to move. We gotta talk about it. We have to talk about it. Have to
Yeah,
talk about it.
we do have to learn how to move and structure because this is all for us to benefit from and create better.
Correct. So over 100 years ago, almost now, good old President Wilson suffered a stroke and he couldn't govern anymore. I didn't know that. And so did the author of this article. He said we did not know that, right? But after his stroke, his wife, First Lady Edith Wilson, decided what matters were more important enough to bring to Woodrow's attention, essentially giving her the unofficial role of president until Warden Herring took over in 1921. Okay, so because Woodrow never technically resigned, the vice president at that time, Thomas Marshall, could never take over, and Wilson instead decided to allow his wife to govern for some time. All right. So the US didn't even tell the public of this. The people didn't even know Wilson had a stroke until 1 year, not 1 year, let me see, October, until 4 months later. And even then, it wasn't even a thing. People were, again,
Concerned
conspiracy
about,
theory,
yeah.
right? Oh, it's called the deep state conspiracy theory, which says there's an unknown party in the government, which is independent of changing administrations, that makes most of the decisions. And here's something I'll talk real quick about the deep state, and then I'll mention stuff about first lady president for 2 years. The deep state is like equivalent to the black pope. Look it up. Now, the fact that we had a white, oh sorry, the fact that we had a first lady president, even if it's by, uh, let's see, administrative actions 100 years ago. What we talking about feminism, dog? What we talking about? I was oppressed. Stop it. Stop it. She first president. We just ain't know about it. Congratulations.
Fruit is in the pudding.
Congratulations. We did it. Now we can stop arguing about it. We're just 100 years too late.
Yeah, it is because there's a big fight about that one. So
There's a big fight right now, and it's just people still don't know about it, and I find that amazing. I'm actually gonna I side note real quick, and then we'll finish this. You don't have to add this part. Um, there is, with the cloning theory, home human cloning, shit like that.
hmm
Remember, I showed you that picture of Biden, the different earlobes and shit.
yes, yes, yes.
That's a normal thing with clones. They always come back different than the
Than what they
original.
were.
Yeah, exactly. And they've always done this with presidents. They had an article. I forgot what president it was, but it's recent. Either Nixon or um, Reagan, one of the two, or the one after that. Doesn't matter. He was on a jog or on a run, and when he barely finished, he didn't even finish. I think he like overheated or some nonsense, and had to get escorted. And in the journal or the article, it sounded like his face looked like it was melting or falling off or shit like that. Like it didn't look very human. You get
hmm
what I'm saying?
hmm
And I just find it funny that they'll write stuff about this in articles, especially back in the day. Like they were very honest.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, man, nah. It's Kodak Black. You talking about? I'm
They
black.
hide a
When you see
lot.
me, I'm white.
Yeah, right. They hide it.
Right. They hide it a lot. But
I have noticed that about articles that they like to use privacy. Fuck that shit.
yeah, privacy. That's the word. Okay. One of my favorites that actually got me, like, it opened the door for me when it came to conspiracies as well, was US government's weather manipulation, or HARP, right? We HARP was a talk a few years ago, or I should say maybe 2016, 2017. I don't really remember. But we were talking about chemtrails, and they're putting metals in the sky. And, they're basically, well, I know it's heavy metals fall to the ground. They're affecting our foods and our farmlands and the air we breathe. And, you know, if that wasn't a thing, we wouldn't have air filters. We wouldn't have certain things to counter this, right? Because they live here as well. I think people need to start thinking about why are starting to exist, like filtration products, um, whether it's air or water, right? Or why you should clean your vegetables when you get them.
Hmm.
Why does that exist? If everything was nice and safe the way it is, you just take it up and eat it. Why would that process even exist? Right?
Why do they make vegetable cleaners?
Why do they make vegetable cleaners? But really quickly, HARP, invented in the year I was born, right? By the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Again, the U.S. military, which is not that it's not that surprising to be honest. But if it's first time hearing this, it might be honest, might be surprising to you. Created the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HARP. Okay, I just mentioned what it was. Weather manipulation during Vietnam War, right? So there's a lot of things that was going on during wars where it was like experimental. And we'll take another episode and we'll deep dive more into what's going on in certain times, certain decades, whether
Yeah,
it's what's
yeah.
going on in the culture, what's causing the shift, what was before certain companies, certain branches of military being created, what was the mindset of people. Like we really need to, if you really want to understand where this mindset can come from, we got to look back, just under go to the roots,
Yes, the
roots of
roots.
whatever, roots of words, roots of government, roots of families, roots. Look at the roots of stuff, and you'll start to understand stuff. Same way, if you want to understand a car, look at what makes it go. How does it start? How does it go? How does it stop? What's in an engine? What's a camshaft? What's an intake? What's an exhaust? What's all these different parts to make it work? And then no longer will you be confused about why you need to put on a seatbelt if you're gonna turn going at a certain speed, and why you need a door.
Yeah, facts.
Right. This one was crazy. Canadian fruit machine.
I didn't know
Kind of,
this one.
kind of first time hearing about it, but I think we might have made jokes about it when we were kids. It was one of those things. But
We still do. We still use the word gaydar.
we do still use the word gaydar. In the 1960s, the Canadian government hired a university professor to create a gaydar, what is called a fruit machine at the time. The university professor, Frank Robert Wake of Carleton University, went about this by forcing subjects to look at same erotic imagery while he measured pupil dilation, perspiration levels, and changes in pulse to gauge just how zesty they were.
Like,
Yes. It was a long-term effort to remove same lovers from positions of civil service in the late 1960s. Funding was cut off, but not before the Royal Canadian Mounted Police had collected files on over 9,000 suspected same lovers. Hey, the more you know. Dalai Lama, implant. He was an implant. And this is the common thing. I'm not gonna get too much into it. I feel like we're just running. We're just running through it. We're just running through it.
damn, really? Hold on.
What time is it? The Dalai Lama. All right. The Dalai Lama is the designated spiritual leader of the Tibetan people. Those carrying the title are generally seen as embodying the tenets of Buddhism: inner peace, enlightenment, and virtuousness. However, CIA documents published by the State Department in 1998 indicated otherwise. For much of the 1960s, some of the 1970s, the current Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, along with many other prominent Tibetan figures, were funneled millions of dollars by the CIA. This funding was part of a concerted effort by U.S. intelligence to undermine communist China and global communist presence by propping up Tibetan guerrillas in their fight against the communist state. According to the report, the CIA funded approximately 2,100 Tibetan guerrillas with $500,000 annually and gave the Dalai Lama himself an annual $180,000 subsidy. Lord, oh
Everything's for
Lord,
money. Everything's for money, dog.
everything's
Everything's
for
for
money.
money.
Everything's
You
for
telling
money.
me I could live well and be part of an operation that's gonna manipulate people, and it has nothing to do with me really, because it's really you guys, but it does have to do with me somehow. I'm gonna get money. Let's do it. It's crazy,
Right.
disgusting.
Black Lives Matter.
Oh god.
All right. Operation Mockingbird. Here we go. We mentioned this one. This whole entire episode was really about this one right here.
Yeah, man.
Operation Mockingbird. 1950s. Again, what a prime time to be alive. Like, you need to think about the human experience and how we consumed our information because they've been studying in it. And if they're playing chess and we're playing Connect 4, who's winning? Like, come on.
That part.
Anyway, CIA recruited and propped up various media organizations to influence public opinion. In April 1976, the Church Committee, a U.S. Senate task force, conducted an investigation into the CIA's influence over both foreign and national news organizations and stated that the CIA maintained a huge global network that provided intel for the organization and, at times, attempted to influence opinion through the use of covert propaganda.
Woo!
That was a mouthful, and boy,
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is today's session.
wrap it up.
Boy, if you don't.
Wrap it up. I mean, honestly, what
Damn.
other receipts do you need? It's yes, it was a mouthful, long word salad, but you break it down. There was a task force, separate branch, whole separate entity to see if an organization is pushing a certain idea to the masses so they can influence the opinion of the public. Again, you need to understand why certain major mainstream media, there's a reason why it's called mainstream, and there's a difference of alternative media. Like, this would be alternative news. This is never going to be on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. It's never going to be there. But if you look for it, you'll find it.
You'll find it.
Right? You'll find it.
But you can't. Then again, it goes back to just don't be oblivious to how nowadays you gotta think who you're trusting. You really gotta think about that, because a lot of organizations are also under the spell. So NBC ain't gonna give it to you. CBS ain't gonna give it to you.
That's right.
You gotta dig deeper, man.
That's right. I gotta shout out this. I gotta shout out the writer. He says I'm a freelance writer and a student who loves writing. Shout outs to you, bro. Free
But
speech is dying, so you gotta. You. This is from 2018, 5 years ago. I'm not even gonna bring it up, but even Bill Gates, our old Lord and Savior, Bill Gates,
don't you
in
dare call
20.
him mine. He ain't my Lord and Savior. He definitely ain't mine.
That he definitely ain't mine, but he even came out in 2018, I believe it was 2019. in the beginning in January. He was like, yeah, you know what? There were speculations about us blocking out the sun, with chemtrails. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we're doing it, man. It's true. We're doing it. We got to block the sun out. We're trying to lower the climate. It's too much. It's too much. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. But they've been doing it this whole time.
So just imagine how far these projects have gone since they've launched.
You feel me?
Just imagine how far they've gone. That's why you look at this information, you take it in, you take a second, and then you look at where we are currently at, and it will give you the answer. And that is the most powerful thing ever. Because then again, it will let you know where you're standing, what's around you. It's like having a bouquet of flowers and realizing it has thorns at the bottom. But you still gotta hold this. So you're gonna hold it from the bottom or you're gonna hold it from the top. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is just an example I'm using. Just came to my mind. I'm just giving you my imagination, what I see and how I express myself. But either way, it goes back to thinking where I'm gonna go, what's around me, why is it around me, what's been going on. Our generation has no excuse. And it's to that point. It has no excuse. And I don't want to sit here and baby you and be like, I feel bad. I used to want that. I used to want to be babied 5, 6 years ago. I used to want to be told it's going to be differently. It's going to be differently. But it really takes us. It takes a village. It takes a community. It takes us to be aware. It takes us to bring each other closer in order to make that change. Even if it means within our community, even if it means within our state, you know what I'm saying? Even if it means within the area that we're currently living in, but it means making that change. And I say that and I leave you guys with that because, again, it all ties in together. And we have no excuse. We got placed here. This is our experience. This is what we live through. We wake up every day. We have a purpose. Whether you like to believe it or not, we have a purpose. And whether we leave tomorrow, this is still going to go on. So, what are you going to choose? What are you going to leave behind? What are you going to leave with from this experience? Because that's another thing. And what are you going to choose to even believe and take in? So, again, no excuse. I can't baby y'all. We can't baby y'all. I can't baby myself.
Neither can I.
Tarek can't baby himself. You know what I'm saying? Like we cannot baby ourselves. Like at this point, all right, taking accountability does do more and it helps and it allows us to keep pushing forward, but this is something we're all fighting against. Like this is all something that we're all going through, and it's not easy for the next person next to you. It's not. So lead with kindness, lead with love, but also lead with being open and taking this in. And lastly, I wanted to talk about a book I have here. It's called Conspiracies and Secret Societies: The Complete Dozier, Second Edition, by Brad Steiger and Sherry Steiger, which I'm pretty sure is his wife. But it's a really thick book, just so you can see it. Thick boy. And it has a lot in here. But one of the things that came out, it was just this part right here. It says the internet, a tool of the new world order. As with a firearm, the internet is used for good or evil depends upon the individual and whoever is in control of it. Newsweek magazine observed with unfortunate accuracy that before the internet came along, pedophiles were lonely and haunted individuals. Authorities had child pornography under control. Today's networks of child abusers are pro-life rating worldwide. There's a specific part here stated. Most of the major broadcast and print media are owned and controlled by half a dozen giant corporations headed by members of Bohemian Groove and New World Order, who love to sow chaos and mislead people before they take total control. In 2004, the media continued to play up terrorism, but never gave the American public the truth about what was really happening in Iraq and Middle East. So this is all, and I give this little gem because it's a really good book if you want to continue to dive deeper. But just to know, like just to know these things are actually out there, and it gives you a different side. Um, I just wanted to point those things out because again, as with a firearm, the internet is used for good or evil depends upon the individual. So again, what do you want to use it for?
Hmm.
Listen, you could, if you want to be a serial killer, if you want to be toxic, if you want to conceive, do it. But just know,
We got video games for that. Go simulate it.
right, literally.
You
But
simulate
just
it if
know
you
that
want.
that's what you're that's just the path you're deciding to take. And
Hmm.
there's consequences with that. So, like, choose, man. But this is for the people that want to choose right.
There we go. Time for the outro. All right.
Alrighty.
All
The
right.
outro.
Gotta
The outro. Yeah, okay. Either way, thank you for listening in. Thank you for taking the time. T, again, beautiful job explaining all these articles and breaking it down for us. We really appreciate you. I appreciate you. Is there anything else you want to leave the crowd with? Any last thoughts before we tie up?
like, comment, subscribe, share. You already know. We're gonna keep on improving. We are doing our absolute
Best.
best, and hopefully, I usually don't like to remain in the hope section of life, because if you hope too much and expect too much, then you're gonna be let down by results.
Yeah.
So you just
Disappointment
kind
gets
of,
harder.
that's right. Just I learned to let things just happen, right? But we're gonna keep working. We're gonna keep sharing information. We're gonna keep learning new things and sharing it with you guys. And just like Lynn said, thank you. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
You feel me? Period. Period. Nah, but thank you guys. Stay tuned and please follow the podcast on Instagram. We are currently on SoundCloud, Amazon, Spotify. Where else? We are on YouTube. Currently
Mm.
working on Apple Podcasts, but it's too soon to come. Just stay in tune. Stay in tune and stay with us, ride it out because it's a good ride and we're doing this for ourselves, but we're also doing it for a bigger purpose. So again, thank you guys for listening, for coming through, and yeah,
Stay
enjoy
tuned
your
and stay
week.
in tune. I
Stay tuned.
like that.
Ooh, I like that.
All
See,
right, that's the
yo,
motto
you
now.
stay dropping them
Yeah, you
gems.
like that.
Yo, that
All
was
right,
good. That was a good one. I like that.
I'll be saving that.
Yo, fast.